In this lesson, we're going to cover 3 songs that only use D, G and A chords. So we are going to be taking it up a level from the previous video. Obviously the songs are going to have an extra chord in, you're going to have to think about things like the song structure, and we're going to go into a little bit more detail with regards to the rhythm, so let's get started. The first song that we're going to take a look at today is Free Fallin' by Tom Petty. Brilliant song this one, everyone knows it, it's got the super catchy chorus, really good one to start jamming along with. So for Free Fallin', we're going to start with the capo on the 3rd fret, and the chord progression, we're going to start with just those main hits that you hear in the intro of the song. So we're going to have a D chord, followed by a G chord, then we're going to be going G, D, A. So those last 3 chords are slightly quicker changes, but if we put it all together, we've got D, G, then G, D, A. Even with just those single strums, it makes it instantly recognizable as this song. Now that intro is so distinctive that you shouldn't really have to count it, you should just be familiar with it and be able to put the chords in the right place. But just to cover everything, the count would be 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So you can hear that some of the chords are landing on the main beats, some of them are landing on the ands, but that's just what gives the song its character. Now this song does just have the same chord progression the whole way through, but it can be a little bit bland to just play the same chords in the same way for a whole song, so quite a good idea is to vary up the rhythm in each section to create a little bit more interest. So in the intro and in the start of the first verse, it might make sense to just do those single strums like we were just doing there, but when the drums and the full band kick in, it might be worth trying to throw in a few extra strums. And I think the best way to do this is to just add down strums in the gaps. So for example, after we do the first D and G, we've now got this little gap here where we can add a few just down strums in, and then the same in the second half, we do the G, D, A, we've got another gap where we can throw in a few down strums. I'll show you what I mean. So just fill in those gaps with down strums. It doesn't have to be the same every time. In fact, it makes it more interesting if you kind of vary it up a little bit. But just have a bit of a play around and see if you can squeeze in some extra down strums without changing the placement of the accents on the main hits. Next, we have the choruses, and for this, I think it might be a good idea to try and big it up with a few 16th notes. So remember, for 16th note strumming, it's going to be the 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a division. So that's going to sound like this. And what I would try and do is just keep the chord placement the same, but try and squeeze in that 16th note strumming pattern at the same time, like this. So my right hand, I've just constantly got that feel going on, but I'm still just playing the main progression. Chords are all still in exactly the right place, and I'm just kind of letting both of them happen at the same time. I'm sort of naturally putting an accent on the first hit of each chord because that sort of reinforces the initial progression, and I'm trying not to think too much about it, just let it happen naturally. And then when you go back to the next verse, maybe back to the single strums, it just brings the level down. makes the song sound a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more interesting. So that was Free Fallin' by Tom Petty. The next song we're going to take a look at is Bad Moon Rising by Creedence Clearwater Revival. Another super catchy tune. There's some interesting rhythms to get your head around with regards to the chord changes in this one. It's also the first song where you're going to be playing different chord progressions in different sections, so you need to have a good knowledge of the song structure. Obviously, that's a super important skill, and this is a good place to start practicing it. So for Bad Moon Rising, as I mentioned, this is the first song where we're going to have different chord progressions in different sections, so you've got to listen to the song a few times and make sure you know when you're moving between a verse and a chorus and vice versa. But if we start with the verse, it's just a little 2-bar phrase starting with a D chord, and the strumming pattern on the D chord is going to be down, down, up, down. After that, we're going to move to an A chord and just do 2 down strums, followed by a G chord with 2 down strums as well. If you put all that together, that's the first bar. The intro of the song should be quite recognizable already. And then the second bar is just a D chord, and the strumming pattern for this one is down, down, up, twice. So down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. So in full. So don't worry if you throw in a few extra strums in certain places, that happens all the time, totally normal. Just make sure you've got the chord changes in the right place in the bar so it feels like the original song. Pay close attention to the strumming pattern in the second half, because that's also what we're going to be doing in the chorus. So if you get that down, it'll make this next section a lot easier as well. So in the chorus, as I say, we're keeping that same strumming pattern, which was down, down, up, down, up. So 2 of those make a full bar, and the first 2 bars of the chorus are just going to be a G chord followed by a D chord. So in the third bar, we're going to play half the bar as an A, half of it as a G. So that's down, down, up on each one. And then the final bar just takes us back to D chord with that same strumming pattern. Okay, so the strumming pattern, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. We've got full bar of G, full bar of D, half a bar of A, half a bar of G, followed by full bar of D, which goes like this. I'm sure if you're familiar with the song, you'll be able to hear where the melody and the lyrics fit over that, and that is the chorus. And one final point on this song is that there is an instrumental section. Now in the instrumental, which happens about halfway through, chords wise, all it does is play through the same progression for the verse and the chorus, but obviously there's a little kind of guitar solo thing going on at this point, so there's no lyrics to help guide you. So you've got to stick really closely to those progressions just by listening to the music. But again, getting used to song structures is a really good skill, so it's a good time to practice that. And that gives you all the sections for the song, so try and play through it start to finish, getting all the chords in the right place, make sure that it's sounding correct along to the track, and there you have Bad Moon Rising. And the final song of the day is going to be Breakfast at Tiffany's by Deep Blue Something. I teach this one all the time, and it's so catchy that it's pretty much stuck in my head constantly. The chord change is very simple on this one, but we are going to be introducing 16th note strumming, so it's another chance to practice one of the skills that you've learned in a real song. just like Bad Moon Rising, Breakfast at Tiffany's only has two sections, which are a verse and a chorus, so have a listen to the song, get used to when it changes between each one. If we start with the verse, we're going to have a D chord, followed by a G and an A. The G and the A are a little bit closer together, the D chord goes on for a little bit longer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You might notice that when I'm changing to the A, it's between the counting numbers. So it's actually on the and of beat 2. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. When you have a chord change that happens on an and rather than on the main beat, it's called a push, so you'd say in this progression that we're pushing the A chord. Now in a second, we're going to talk about how you embellish them chords to make them sound a little bit more like the original, but first I want to deal with the rhythm. So it's another 16th note strumming pattern, so you want to be getting into that 1E and a 2E and a feel. So if I just throw that over the chords. Again, making sure that the chord placement is spot on, so you're not changing where that A chord comes in. That's going to keep it sounding like the original track. If you want to add in some of the chord embellishments, they mainly happen on the D chord. It starts off by just dropping to a D sus2 on that down strum there. And then we have a little D sus4 flourish at the end. So you're going back to the D chord, and then just popping the little finger down for that one little note and then off again. So D, sus2, back to major, sus4 major. Again, the strumming doesn't have to be exactly the same as what I'm doing. It probably changes every time that they play it in the song, just with what they're feeling naturally. But try and get that 16th note rhythm down first, and then try adding in a couple of the little chord embellishments and see how close you can get it. Now for the chorus, and the only thing that we're really changing in the chorus is we're swapping the order of the G and the A chord. So this time we're going to have a full bar of D, followed by the A chord, and then the G pushed on the and of 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. And if you put the 16th note strumming in, so again, a little bit like Free Fallin', maybe start with just the main chord hits and then try and fill in the gaps with the extra strumming. So I'm doing the D, a little bit of 16th note strumming, then hit the A, G, when you get to this level of kind of intensity in the strumming, you don't want to be thinking about it too much. You want to be mainly just trying to feel it. But yeah, make sure you're playing the right chords at the right time and just fitting the strumming in around that. In terms of the song structure, you're only changing between the verse and the chorus, but it's important to note that when the riff comes in, it's actually over the verse progression, not the chorus one. So as soon as the chorus finishes and you hear that riff, as soon as you hear that riff, you're changing back to the verse progression, and then you should hear that the chords all match up with the song. And that is Breakfast at Tiffany's. So there are three absolute classics which only use D, G and A chords. Remember, anything that you're struggling with, go back to the first series of the beginner course and have a recap. Remember, you can also download extra resources such as chord diagrams on my Patreon page, links are in the description. But all the lessons are nice and organised on my YouTube channel page if you want to subscribe and follow along. I hope you're having a lot of fun exploring these songs, and I'll see you in the next lesson.